On Halloween night, the great pumpkin rises out of his pumpkin patch and flies through the air with his bag of toys for all the children.
And one year in middle school on Halloween, I think I was like in 7th grade, they had all the kids go to the auditorium and they showed us A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. They just showed us the whole movie, uncut. And at the time, you know, I'm 12, man. Like, we're loving this. We're like, we get to watch Freddy Krueger at school? That's what's up. But now, you know, years later as an adult, I'm like, they ain't have a lot of hope for us. Let them watch Freddy. That'll keep these motherfuckers busy. But we're in the auditorium and we are watching this movie. And at the same time, I'm Freddy Krueger that year for Halloween. That's my costume. I had the latex mask that you couldn't breathe in. You know, I had the gloves, the sweater, the hat, the whole thing. I was even talking like Freddy. You know, I'd be in the cafeteria. Give me a chocolate chip muffin, bitch. So we're sitting in the auditorium, and it's me and my 2 best friends. Okay, and in front of us are 3 girls. One of which I had a big crush on. I won't name her here, but just the biggest crush I had on her in that moment. And at this point, the movie was getting really tense. There was a part coming up, because we already seen the movie. There was a part coming up that Freddy was about to jump out and kill somebody. Like a big jump scare. And I knew it was coming. The music was getting real, right? And at that moment, I looked at my friends and I like fashioned the Freddy gloves and I pointed at my crush. Like, should I scare her? And they looked at me like, of course. Why would you even ask such a question? So of course, you know, I had to do what I had to do. My friendship was on the line. So right at the moment Freddy jumped out, I just went, ha, 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 and I grabbed her shoulder with the Freddy glove. And man, she hit the ceiling. I scared the shit out of this girl, man. We're laughing, having a good time. And she comes back down. All right? She turns around and she starts both fists just swinging on me. And landing. She was landing all her punches. Just swinging on me. She was pissed. And I just remember never feeling any of those punches. I was laughing so hard. We were all laughing. It was the greatest moment. This girl didn't talk to me for almost 2 months. But I'll tell you right now, I'd do it again. I love Halloween.
Today, on the Halloween episode of Ostriches and Video Games, Lamont welcomes, from the TV Guidance Counselor podcast, fellow comedian Ken Reid. And from Bunker Buds, the General of the Army of Broken Toys, rocker Walter Sickert. Listen as the spooky trio scares up a list of your favorites and not so favorite Halloween treats.
What do you got? Like, do you guys have any interesting or weird, like, trick-or-treating, like, what, you know, anything happened on a trick-or-treat that you were like, any rules for trick-or-treating?
Ooh. I'll jump in. I don't do shows on Halloween because I need to do 2 things. I need to go trick-or-treating with my daughter, Wednesday Alice, because that's like fucking rule number 1. Taking her out on Halloween is like, it's like fucking the scene in E.T. Like, all the kids are dressed up. Everybody's fucking having a good time. It's fucking beautiful, lovely. Of course, it hasn't happened because of pandemic for fucking 2 years. But that's the vision. I love that. So I'd never do a show on Halloween. But part 2 of Halloween is no, that's it. Part 1, I have the night off. Sorry, I thought there was a part 2, but I got confused. I was somebody else for a minute.
Ken, did you have any specific rules that you followed every Halloween, or it can be anything?
So I would I got a map of my town from the only place you could get like town maps was from pizza places. If you remember, you go to a local pizza place that have a map of the whole town up because it would show like where they delivered and stuff, and it was for their delivery guys to use. So my local pizza place got a new map, and I asked them for their old one, which they gave me. So it had a map of the city, and it literally has like every house on the city on this map. So I'd get that out, and then I'd map out where I was going to go. And my grandparents lived on the other side of town, so I would start on the edge of town, work my way back to our house, where I would drop off the pillowcase, then move to the other end of town, filling another pillowcase, and then my parents picked me up at my grandparents' house. So I would get 2 full king-size pillowcases. But I refused to go in any houses that made you go in and do like a haunted house thing, or like, you know, some of those, like, I wouldn't do it. Just wouldn't do it. That was my hard, fast rule.
For me, like, to piggyback first off the haunted house thing, I agree with you on that. There were some houses. There was a house in my neighborhood that I remember vividly that had that, and the tip-off was we weren't sure if it was animatronic or if there was actually somebody in there, because they would have a candy bowl out right there, right? And you would go, well, that's a recipe for disaster, right? I'm taking there's no supervision. I'm going to take all this candy, right? Mm-hmm. But no, because they had something sitting across from the candy, which to this day, I'm not sure if it was animatronic or if there was a person waiting to grab you. All I know is that we just said, you know what? We're going to let that candy live tonight. We're not ever, I don't think anyone ever took any candy from that house. I'm talking, this is like over a 3-year span when I lived in this neighborhood. I don't think that candy bowl was always filled to the brim, and I'm positive it was because of whatever the fuck was sitting across from it in like a mask and like a black cloak with the big nose, and it moved a little bit, and we weren't sure. Like, this wasn't the kind of neighborhood that had the money where you go, man, they got an animatronic giant goblin dude. Like, no, we knew that if you got close enough, this motherfucker was going to grab you, and then the old phrase, never seen or heard from again, was going to be uttered after your name for decades.
What if he was just a guy that just looked like that? Like, he wasn't even like, he was
like, hey, thanks for taking my candy.
Yeah, just really wanted.
Keep running away from me.
It's all he wanted.
For taking this.
All he wanted was to hand out candy, and no one would let him live his dream.
Aww.
Guy was just sad every year. He's just sitting there like, Why didn't he say anything then? Why wouldn't he just go, hey, kid?
Because he didn't want to scare you.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And he didn't want to blow that's just what he wore. Yeah. He just wore a black cloak.
Yeah, it's just his style, man.
He was a magician.
He was a chef. Yeah. He went to work in the black cloak.
Yeah.
Guys, how was Halloween last night, Frank? Kids didn't.
A hell of a night.
Kids didn't go near my. Still got a lot. He come to work with the candy every year. A lot of candy again, huh, Frank? Yeah, same. Kids don't trust me. But one of the first things Ken said, and I started like poking. One of the best rules is the pillowcase. Trick or treat bags are the biggest scam on planet Earth for kids. Kids, if you're listening, get yourself a pillowcase. And to Ken's point, a king size pillowcase. Maximize your candy, your candy take. Maximize it. And also another point Ken brought up, and he was much more industrious as a kid than I was, but I did the same thing, which was we didn't get a map of the town. We just knew there were streets we wasn't supposed to go on. And we would go on those streets on Halloween. Because it was like, that's another bunch of houses that have candy. So we're gonna go get the candy from those houses. And where I grew up in Dorchester. Dorchester is like the neighborhood. You know, if you watch the news, you'll think, "Oh my God, Dorchester." But Dorchester is a cool neighborhood. It just has some areas, like a lot of places, that are just like, I don't know about if that street's the place for you to go. You know, there's a certain street where you might not be good on if you go down that street, right? And we avoided those streets on most nights, except for Halloween. And every Halloween special, or most Halloween specials, have a house that kids avoid on Halloween. Not us, because growing up in Dorchester, Halloween wasn't going to be what was going to scare us. So we would go wherever there was candy. That's where we wound up, right?
Yeah.
So like, you know, and the neighborhoods were very integrated. But the streets were segregated. Like one street would just be like all Black families. One street would be like all Hispanic families, like all Puerto Rican families. There'd be a street in Dorchester where there's all white families. And it's just kind of, and that really, the light was shining on that mostly on Halloween. Because I remember trick-or-treating one year, and it was all of us, and my little brother was with us. And I remember we went to like 5 houses in a row in one neighborhood that was like, it was all white people. And I just remember my brother was just like, there's a lot of white people in this neighborhood right as we're getting candy. And the people were like, oh, I was like, yeah, that's cool, trick-or-treat. And then we just took off. But I told my brother about that years later. And he's like, I was 6. And I was like, yeah, I know. But it was a fun adventure to go to all these different neighborhoods to get as much candy as you can. And like I talked earlier, we said this in Walter's podcast, dusk made it feel sort of creepy, and going up to these houses during dusk made it feel really creepy. And for some weird reason, I love that. I love that feeling of I don't know, things might not end up, you know, things might go wrong.
It's kind of an anything can happen vibe.
Yes.
Plus, it's like a visualization for like fear in general, maybe anxiety that a lot of us have, like, is kind of nameless at times. And so it's kind of like, I'm worried about a bunch of shit. But on Halloween time, and especially when you're a kid, it's like all your fears are now visualized. So like, oh, it's a scary pumpkin, it's a scary haunted house, it's a ghost, it's a vampire. I know all these are fake. I can navigate this world with confidence, and I can come out of this motherfucker with candy.
Yes.
And so maybe, and that's the root of Halloween, and why it's important, maybe, is that it gives kids that self-empowerment to go like, I'm afraid of all this shit. I'm fucking afraid of going on this adventure. But at the end, the thing I really want is at the end of this is a big old bag of fucking candy. So it's, maybe teach us lessons. Hold on, hang the fuck in there for that candy bag.
I've never heard.
One quick thing though is the nothing travels faster than the news that one house is giving up full bars. Like, you don't have to know anybody, any other kids. You don't have any friends. But if one motherfucking house has full bars, every fucking kid in a mile radius of that house knows about the house with the full bars. That was before fucking Facebook.
so keep that in mind in a little bit.
Okay.
Because my next question actually, because this is going to all lead to candy. And I love the way you said candy, because that was very Millhouse, that kid excitement.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Like, that's the real feeling of a kid with candy. All that mattered was getting that candy. What's the biggest mistake either of you made on Halloween? Like during trick-or-treating, like during a trick-or-treating run, you said you did the thing and you were like, that was not the move I should have made.
I mean, I was a really good kid. I never did like pranks. I never did like shaving cream. I avoided all the older kids who would steal your candy. Like, yeah, I got nothing. Nothing
you did that you were like, I probably shouldn't have, walked past that cat. I probably shouldn't have turned out to Reid.
No, weirdly, because I had it so mapped out. It was like a finely tuned. It was like a heist movie.
Yeah, there was, for me, like I lived in, so I lived on a boat for a long time, and then when I could go trick or treating, because on a boat you can't fucking do that. You can at the dock you can. I lived in with my grandmother in the woods. So I lived in this town that was very suburban, but like every fucking 80s movie or like The Burbs, like there's always that fucking creepy house at the end of the street. That was the house I lived in, but it was down this fucking abandoned old dirt road. And at the end was this fucking crazy old dilapidated house. And I lived in that. So it was like the fucking haunted house that all the kids were afraid of. I was like, that motherfucker. I was leaving that. I was the one coming out. I'm like, where's the rich fucking kids? Where's your fucking candy bars? I'm coming for it. Nothing's gonna scare me. I got fucking rats in this wall over here. No shit's gonna fucking, no matter, no fucking fake plastic blood is gonna keep me from getting some fucking full candy bars. And if you got some fucking Hershey's with nuts in those motherfuckers, I'm coming after that. So like, but that, yeah. I don't know.
So, but there's no.
Yeah.
All right. No, it's fine. You have no you have no sort of not regrets even. Just a move you made. Doesn't have to be anything like serious even.
No, I would have been more like Ken. Like I would have tried to back up like the second candy bag situation and a map. That makes sense. But I still feel like a lot of the time it was like they let the kids out and then like you go house to house to house and then the parents would grab you, put you in another van and like fucking take you to the next destination. And by the time I was old enough to make mistakes during Halloween, I was like almost a teenager making any kind of fucking costume to get free candy after school, So, I mean, that was a kind of mistake, I guess. But I got. Well, I mean,
so what? I guess what I'm getting at is like, so for me, my mistake really wasn't so much like anything I did wrong. It was more of an assumption that I made that turned out to be wrong. And so like one year, we neighborhood hop. Right. And this one particular year, we had a couple of adult chaperones. And I was 10 years old, I think, 9 or 10 years old at the time. And we're going through all these neighborhoods. I mean, this candy haul is epic. We're having a great time. Everybody's getting along. There's a bunch of new kids in this group that I had never met before that I'm becoming fast friends with. And that was a time in my life where I didn't really have the sort of, I was an indoor kid, where my confidence was sort of like, okay, smaller group, I'll break out of my shell. If it's an outdoor event and everybody's hanging out, I was more to myself because I wasn't comfortable immediately. I got comfortable late when people were like 5 minutes before everybody was leaving is when I got real comfortable because it wasn't real anymore. It's like everyone's leaving anyway, so whatever I do now doesn't mean anything. So at that age, at that point in my life and the way my mind worked, making friends with those kids as fast as I made friends with them was exciting to me. And we were going through all these neighborhoods and I realized my grandmother lives around here. And I said, guys, I know what we can clean up. And I'm thinking, it's all my new friends. I'm going to seal this friendship. I'm going to be the king of the group. Go to my grandmother's house. She's going to just dump candy and our pillowcases, right? A couple of dumb kids had bags. And we go to my grandmother's house, ring the doorbell. She doesn't answer. Ring it again. She doesn't answer. Ring it a third time. She finally comes to the door and she's like, we're like, trick or treat. And I was a vampire. I was like Count Dracula that year. And I had the face paint, I was straight up white face. And I had the fangs. I had those shitty fangs.
Inappropriate, Lamont.
Hey, listen, man, I've changed a lot in these years. And I had the shitty fangs, the plastic fangs everybody had. But you can tell it's me, right? And I'm like, Grandma, hey, trick or treat. And the kids are expecting everything. And there's a lot of us, by the way. There's like at least 12, 13 kids, right? And so we're still going up the steps. And my grandmother was sneezing into some tissue. And she was like, oh, baby, I am so sorry. I'm not feeling well this year. I've got the flu, and I forgot Halloween was coming, so I didn't buy any candy. And it was like the record scratch. All the kids suddenly, I remember one kid said, maybe it was even one of the adults, was like, whose idea was it for us to come here again? And I remember that to this day, that group might still be looking for me because I just quietly slid into my grandmother's house because I didn't want to be with the group. I was like, I can't keep all those new friends gone. Never saw them again.
See,
I don't even know if they were like, where's Lamont at? Like, I don't even think they gave a fuck.
Yeah,
shit. I benefited from really disliking all my grandparents and being horribly embarrassed by them and making sure that no one knew where they lived or who they were.
Oh, well, my grandmother on my mother's side, I was very, very close to. The grandmother on my father's side, that's another podcast.
Yeah. If you want someone on interview on that podcast, let me know, man. That sounds familiar.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. A lot that I'm still unpacking, but that's another thing. But yeah, so I slid in there and they took off. To this day, I don't know if they ever were like, "Where's the Lamont? How are we gonna explain this?" Like, I don't know if they ever figured it out. But I know I went in there and, we called my parents from her house to let them know, like, hey, I'm over here. Listen, I fucked up. And I just had to ditch the group. And, So that was my big Halloween mistake. And it wasn't anything. It was just, I just assumed that there was candy and I didn't know that my grandmother had the flu. You know what I'm saying? The next thing I want to ask you guys is, weirdest house you ever went to? You went to that house, you said, I'm going to remember this for the rest of my life.
Oh, Eddie Murphy. Our neighbor, Eddie Murphy, who was an old man from Maine who used to be a train conductor.
Oh, okay, wait a minute. I was like, holy shit, does Ken know every fucking person in the world and he spent time with them?
Yeah, no, so he lived in an old Victorian house.
Okay, sorry.
Lived in an old Victorian house and he would dress up like the Budweiser werewolf. He had a Budweiser werewolf costume and would light road flares and throw Reese's peanut butter cups out his window and yell fuckers.
Did he ever try to advertise that his name was Eddie Murphy? Like, did he ever try to capitalize?
No, he had no idea who Eddie Murphy was, and he was like full on from Maine, and he had 5 dogs, and they were all named Charlie, and we didn't know if he knew that he had 5 dogs. And he would always ask us the same question when I was a kid. He'd see you and he'd go, been watching the BBC?
That was it. Jimbo's got a quick impersonation. Hey, fuckers! Hey, fuckers, take some Reese's Pieces! Hey, fuckers, hey, happy fucking Halloween, you fucking son of a bitch, just take some fucking candy.
That's very accurate.
Like that? Yeah, all right.
So his name was Eddie Murphy, and his dog's name was Charlie. And they had no idea. Okay. I mean, I guess back then people didn't really know who Charlie Murphy was anyway, but still.
No, definitely not. Yeah, especially him.
The late, great Charlie Murphy, who is...
Wow. Shit. I don't have an Eddie Murphy story. Oh, no. Do we lose? It's frozen. Shit.
Oh, we lost Lamont.
Oh, wait. Did we lose Lamont?
I'm back.
Oh,
You're back.
See.
All right.
Good. Where did it cut off? We can just edit around.
You just froze.
It was right when when Walter was about to tell his story that he doesn't have.
I don't know what the fuck I was gonna say. Yeah. Oh shit. Okay. Yeah. No. I was just gonna say.
I just mentioned that Charlie Murphy. I have a great story about Charlie Murphy.
Let's fucking hear this great story about Charlie.
No, I'm not gonna. It's not for this podcast. But
okay.
I'll tell it another time. It's a good. It's not a bad story. Like he was cool as shit, nice. But it's just a funny story. Yeah. So anyway, Walter, you were going to go into
I was going to chime in with the creepy house situation, which was this. Like I said, I grew up in the creepy house. So like there weren't like too many houses that creeped me out. But can I give you a creepy house story from inside my creepy house?
Sure.
In lieu of a creepy house. Okay, good. Fair enough.
Whatever you got.
All right. So like I told you, I lived in this house with my grandmother, who lived there when she was a kid. So that was like in the heyday. The house was really nice back then. And then it just progressively got scarier and scarier. But when she was a kid, I think she was about 7 or 8, she told me this story every Halloween. So that's why we're bringing it up now. It was it was like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, and they were one of her chores was to go down the basement and get the wood that was chopped up and bring it back and put it in the fireplace to keep the house warm. So the oldest part of the house was the basement, and the first part they built and used to live in like 3 or 4 generations ago was a small little like the walls were all made out of rock, the floor was dirt, and that's where all the wood was kept. So she goes down the basement to get the wood. It's nighttime, 9:30, whatever time. She goes down, pile of wood, bends over to pick up the wood, puts it in a little bindle, 1 piece, 2 piece, 3, reaches for the 4th piece. Not a big deal usually, but when she reached for the 4th piece, she noticed this. This is where her dad kept his shoes. Her father's shoes were there, which is fine and normal. But next to those shoes was another pair of shoes with feet in them and legs. And clearly somebody's standing there watching her do this when there should be nobody else in the house for miles and miles around. There's nobody around. Just her parents, or she knows are upstairs because they sent her downstairs to get the wood. She gets the wood, makes no eye contact, doesn't look at anything, just is freaked out, grabs the wood, goes back upstairs, delivers the wood, and says nothing to her parents. Nothing at all. She said, I was too scared to tell them. So nothing happened. Somebody down the basement for who knows how long, who knows what they were doing. But there was some creepy person living in the basement of that house I grew up. So it was very hard for me, after hearing these stories, to ever get scared about going to anybody else's creepy house on Halloween when that shit was happening in my fucking place. But that's the story. I want to tell her.
That's a very creepy pasta.
There you go.
There was just somebody living in the basement, like squatting in the basement.
What's
for that day?
It's like a quick part 2 to that, and I don't know if it's like some kind of weird like horror movie scenario, like there had to be a second version of this. But years later, my aunt and uncle have this place in Melrose, and they have a basement. And they live in an apartment on the floor, and they have a basement where they do laundry. There's an old room. My aunt's down there doing her laundry, turns around with a basket, and there is a man who emerges from the wall because there's a big hole in the wall where the original basement was, who had been living in there, and he's wearing her bra and nothing else. Comes at her, like just walking towards her. She runs upstairs. My Uncle Dickie, big giant guy with a mullet and a little mustache, very nice Irish man, picked him up, had to hold him down. He's like scrabbling like on this crazy possessed man. People came up, the cops came, took him, and they're thinking, oh yeah, he escaped. He escaped from the asylum a couple months ago. We had no idea where he was.
Yeah, I didn't know you knew my uncle.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
I was going to say, what the fuck is going on in Melrose?
Well,
I don't know.
That's where I grew up.
That's what I'm
Makes a
talking
lot
about.
of sense.
It's fucking crazy. So
Yeah.
there you go. Yeah. I didn't have what I gave you. Sorry.
I can't beat that. There's no way I get that. That's like,
Yeah, that's just a move on.
Yeah, but my story is one year we go to this house and there were new people living in this house, and trick or treat, right? And this goes back to your full size bars comment, Walter. So this guy opens the door, and you do a quick assessment as a kid. We're like 11, 12. The guy's probably he looks to be in his mid 20s, something like that. But to us, he was 80. Yeah, what I'm saying? Like to us, he's 80 years old. Mm-hmm. And we're like, trick or treat. And he's like, hey, most houses, well, yeah. And here's some candy, and you keep it moving. This guy opens the door all the way. Hey guys, how you doing? Come on in. Gives us the come on in wave. We go walk into this house. We don't really take a survey of the scene immediately. He leads us to this table in the kitchen, and there are 5 giant bowls on there, and it's full size Snickers, Twix, Hershey's bars, like I think some Baby Ruths, like all full size, which is number 1, yes. Mm-hmm. Number 2, he was like, help yourself. And we're like, hell yeah, well, when we are helping the fuck out of ourselves with the full-size bars. There's no limit on the help yourself either. And that's when I decided to take a look around the house. I'm doing, I don't stop the heist, but I take a survey of the house, and I realize there's not a lot of furniture in here. In fact, there's none, other than the table that we're taking candy off of. and I see about 4 or 5 other people sitting, around candles, around the same age as this guy, like 80, and our version of 80, and they're just sitting there very quietly, very peacefully, and they're looking at us, and they're just kind of like nodding, like, yeah. And then the guy goes, "Hey guys, we're new to the neighborhood. We just moved in a couple of weeks ago. We love Halloween. We love the young people. You guys feel free anytime. Come over. If you want to talk about anything, if you want to just, have some more candy. We always have snacks. Come by and hang out whenever you want." And we're all slowly processing this as 11-year-olds, not really grasping the severity of the situation. I'm still with the candy. My buddy Charles goes, and I quote, "Fuck that shit." And he bolts for the door. Everyone starts like taking off. I'm still with the candy. I'm Max. If this is it, I'm going out with a bang, and I'm grabbing as much candy as I can hold. And then right after I feel like I've got it enough, I snatch my brother by his arm, and we jet out of there. We never went back to that house again. I don't know whatever happened with those people. I have no idea. But that became the house in the neighborhood that we would avoid.
Fuck this. I'm out of here. That's the thing. That's the thing. Kids though, like you were like I get why we get along, because I also would have been like, I'm fucking freaked out, but I'm gonna grab a handful of these fucking full bars.
I gotta get this full. When's the next time
exactly
that I'm gonna get not only the full size bars, but a help yourself?
Yeah.
On the full size bars. I don't know when I'm gonna be back here again.
I mean, if you're gonna go out, that's the way to go out.
That's what my mindset was.
Like if you had like a last meal, or like you knew today's the last day, like that's not a bad way to spend it.
And that leads to the main event of this part of the podcast. That leads to the main event of the podcast, which is, of course, candy. What are your, I guess, the first part of this is, what are the top 5 candies? When you think of Halloween, you go, here are the, I don't know if you think like me, where Halloween is a chocolate holiday with some fruit-flavored candies that are allowed in. But, so, that's the way I am. But for you guys, your hierarchy, when you think Halloween, what are the top 5 candies you think of? We'll start with Walter.
All right, here we go. Top 5, I'm going to go 5-1, obviously. So, like, I'm going to go Snicker Bars Mini. The Snicker Bars Mini, because, like, this is like when I'm doing the tally at the end of the night, when I was doing the tally at the end of the night, you dump the whole fucking sack out, you throw away the marshmallows and circus peanuts or other fucking weird shit in there. And then to me, it's like, all right, start stacking the real motherfucker. Snicker bars. Oh, okay, I can't get ahead of myself. Snicker bar minis. Like, because I would never assume that I get a full Snicker bar. If I got a full Snicker bar, then fucking howdy doody, I'm happy.
Of course.
Yeah. But Snicker bar minis. Mini me up. Fucking stuff them in all my holes. I love it.
So that's it. I mean, you can give me a list.
I'm supposed to pick one, right?
I said, give me 5. Give me 5.
Yeah.
When you think Halloween, the 5 candies you think of immediately.
I'm ready. I'm fucking ready. Here we go.
And we might overlap. We're probably going to overlap, but
is it okay if I have made a note because I knew it was going to happen, and I had one like a fuck this candy bar? Can I do that?
Well, let's do this. We'll get to the fuck this.
Okay, good. I'll save it. That's why
we'll get to the fuck this. Yeah.
There's love. Mini Snickers. Give me a fucking mini Snickers. Give me like a whole. If I go to your house and you're like, here you go, and you give me a whole fucking full bar of Hershey, like I'll kill somebody. I don't give a shit. If it's got almonds in it, I'll kill 2 people for you. Whatever it takes. I'll take that. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. And you mentioned the fruit. I like chocolate all day long, right? On Halloween. But I'm artificial flavorings. Love them. I love them. And I'll tell you what I like. I like when they get inventive, like the wax, either the wax bottles of weird fucking sweet juice. It's just like, just because of that, it gives you a task. one year. I don't know if they don't make this anymore, but there was one fucked up crazy year. Somebody gave me a wax cobra head. and it was filled with red sugar juice, and you bite the fucking snake head off, and you suck the drink out. It was the best. That was the best wax.
Whoa, I've never heard of this.
It was so awesome.
You sure it was
I'm sure
wax?
if you look it up, you'll be able to find an old one. There's a wax cobra head.
I'm Googling it right now.
It was full of red, sweet juice. It was fucking delicious. That's 3 of them. Now 4, Charleston motherfucking Chew. This might be like one that people are offended by because not everybody likes this horrible, disgusting candy bar, but I love it. Because you take that motherfucking Charleston Chew, you get one of those things. You always get the little ones, right? But of course, I'm talking about the big rod. Take that giant fucking thing, put it in the freezer. You take it out of the freezer. You can fucking nails into drywall with that fucking thing, or you can shatter it and have little horrible, little teeny tasty candies from a time gone by. And that's 4. And then 5, number 5. I've got it written down. Where is it? Oh yeah, this one. This is it. Hershey, this is the specific one, and I don't know if they make it anymore. Peanut butter cups that have jelly inside. So the peanut butter and jelly cups. Reese's peanut butter jelly cups.
I didn't even know they did that.
They put the jelly inside. Shit you not. Hopefully they don't see this. When I worked my very first job at a place that sold candy, I won't say the name in case they come after me. They didn't pay me a lot, so I used to fill my bicycle up with all kinds of candy and shit that I'd live off of. Favorite thing was Reese's Pieces peanut butter cups with strawberry or grape jelly mixed in. It's crazy. I don't think they make it.
What planet was this house in you lived in? Like,
Yeah.
what?
It was like, Omnicrime 6. What? That's not where we are? I don't know. Sugar Dip Galaxy. But yeah, it was real.
I mean, aside from Charleston Chew, which I feel like is a hate crime.
Listen, it's a really divisive candy bar. I'm sorry for mentioning it, though. It does have a...
No, that's okay.
Classic regional bar.
You know,
Yeah.
What, Ken?
My 5, I'm going classic Hershey's bar, which is terrible chocolate and tastes a little bit like baby vomit, has that weird sour note, but has a nostalgic vibe for me.
All right.
Number 4, going Reese's Pieces, which is a very different peanut butter vibe than the Reese's peanut butter cup, but has a totally different thing in superiority to M&M's. Snickers, my number 3. Twix is my number 2. My number 1, peanut butter cup.
Is very good.
None of that Peter Pan either. That has to be a Reese's. The Peter Pan peanut butter cups. No.
Peter Pan.
Or ones with marshmallow inside. Fuck that.
By the way, that's how you know how somebody grew up in the suburbs when Peter Pan is even an option.
Yeah.
Like I grew up in a Skippy house.
Yeah.
Well, first off, let me say about the Hershey's. 2 things about the Hershey's. One is I've never tasted baby vomit, so I don't have that comparison. But secondly, I feel like Hershey's is a different candy bar once you taste the almond version. Like once I got the almond version, I can't just go back to biting in. And I love chocolate, but maybe that goes to your point about it being like baby vomit, where it's like it needs the almond. Once I went almond, I couldn't go back.
Mm-hmm.
And Reese's Pieces, I was going to tweet this the other day and I forgot to. I feel like the only time they matter is Halloween.
Because
I don't even feel like it's an insult. Like I feel like on Halloween they taste good.
Yeah, they got the color scheme and they got the ET. They have everything.
Mm-hmm. ET tie-in. By the way, I believe that ET is a Halloween movie. That's another story.
He's over there in the corner.
But no, that's a great list, and I think, like I said, ours overlaps a bit because for me, Twix, of course. I shouldn't have to tell you which kind. Clearly, I mean caramel. Peanut butter Twix is was an emotional decision clearly made by the company. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking, and I honestly think that if you work at a store and if somebody goes to buy a peanut butter Twix, you should be required by law to ask the purchaser, "Are you sure? You sure about the peanut butter?"
Different genre. You get it's the futon of chocolate bars. It's not a good bed or a good couch.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so Twix, caramel, of course. Reese's cups, naturally. I shouldn't have to say this, but all these have to be in the freezer. I have to put them all in the freezer. Kit Kats. Baby Ruths. And for me, it flip-flops between Baby Ruth and Payday, depending on how many peanuts I want in the moment. And then, of course, Snickers. And as growing up, plastic Snickers, all-time favorite candy bar. Nothing can beat it until they came out with the almond Snickers. The almond Snickers, man, I honestly can't even go back to regular Snickers anymore. Almond Snickers changed my life. I love almond Snickers. So that's my list. What about some fruit flavored candies that you feel, are acceptable on Halloween? Like, it doesn't have to be a list of 5, just anything you think of.
Well, you get the Skittle bags. That always pops up in the fucking things. I don't mind the Skittle bags.
Skittles great.
Good.
Skittles.
The tropical Skittles, you could.
Yep.
I always found like if you had one little bag of tropical Skittles, you'd be okay, but 2, you'd feel like you're gonna throw up.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was just me.
Starburst are okay. Laffy
Starburst.
Taffy, especially if it's the one with the weird like crunchy stuff on top.
Oh yeah.
That's probably it, to be honest with you.
What about Nerds?
Nerds. Fuck yeah. I like Nerds.
I think Nerds belong. Starburst and Skittles definitely.
Mhm.
Also big for me, Dum Dums, lollipops, and Blow Pops.
Oh yeah.
I like Tootsie Pops actually.
Tootsie Pops are also on this list they have.
Not
here.
a huge Tootsie Roll guy, but Tootsie Pop is the perfect vehicle for the Tootsie product.
Yes,
Okay.
Absolutely.
What about the fruity chews? The fruity Tootsie.
Fruitsy?
No,
No.
no fan.
I prefer them to Tootsie Rolls, but I still don't like them that much.
Okay. Well, how about this? Jolly Rancher. The
Yeah.
sticks. No?
No,
Yeah.
because they had a lot of flavor, but they were too much of a commitment. The sticks, like if you're eating that thing, that's the only piece of candy you're having all night because it's going to take you hours. And then you also figure out that when the stick gets really thin, it basically becomes a shiv, and at one point you always slice your mouth with it.
Yeah, when we were kids in school, our big thing was like if you had a couple bucks, you go to the corner store and buy a bunch of candy, and that's how you got through the day. And that's how we coped at school. And Jolly Rancher sticks were a big part of that. So the idea that Ken, of you saying that it's an all-day commitment, yeah, like that's we started at first period, and by 7th period you can shake somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, but we didn't mind the fact that this might take one of us out in the mouth. We might bleed out from the mouth, but our feeling was only the strong survive. So we just capped with the Jolly Rancher sticks.
That's how Heath Ledger's the Joker got his fucking smile like that. The Jolly Rancher fucking.
That's the answer to that question. You want to know how I got this smile?
He's eating candy. Why so sweet? Mm-hmm.
All right, so that leads me to the finale here, and we'll go out on this in the negative. Which candies do you feel will get someone's house egged? Now I know Ken didn't participate in that, and I really didn't either, but you still felt it.
Oh,
We
yeah.
weren't-
There were times where you're like, if I was the kind of person that would egg a house, this house is getting it.
You could emotionally egg them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So what are the
absolutely.
candies where you look at and you go, nah, son, your house is going to be a Western omelet in the morning.
Plenty's chocolate coins.
Chocolate.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The chocolate was shit, but I like the
Garbage
coin
stuff.
aspect.
No, but you'd get pieces. It was impossible to get all the tinfoil off, so you inevitably would get a little piece of it in a filling, and it would be just so painful. Good and Plenty's just vile.
Disgusting.
Yeah, circus peanuts. Just
Fuck that.
yeah, those are probably the top 3 of my just forbidden candies.
I'm really glad nobody mentioned my fucking least favorite candy bar in their favorite candy bar section, because this would be awkward. I'd
What's
still
that?
let you know though. 3 fucking Musketeers can go fuck themselves.
Oh,
I fucking hate that candy bar.
I
I
agree.
fucking hate it.
I
You
agree. That candy bar is in Charleston Chew also is
Yeah,
when
man.
Nougat got
Yeah.
full of itself.
Yeah.
Nougat said, I can do this shit by myself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you need help, motherfucker. You need
Well,
peanuts.
they tried to get help by making it the most compelling fucking package of any candy bar, making it shiny and silver. So kids are like, oh, shiny. And
You can't put a picture of D'Artagnan. You can't put a picture of D'Artagnan on the package and expect me to go, I'm eating this nougat. Nothing but nougat.
Plath bar. I got excited.
Yeah.
Here's reference from the fucking 90s. Yeah.
I threw that D'Artagnan at you.
But fuck Three Musketeers.
Yeah, I agree. It's like a half-finished candy bar. You're missing like two things inside. What happened?
Yeah, what's going on? Like something went wrong at the candy bar factory.
If Elliot tried to throw the fucking Three Musketeer bars towards E.T. to get him out of the fucking garage, E.T. would have thrown that fucking bar back, but like, fuck this planet and left. That would have been the end of the fucking movie.
I'm going to tell you something right now. If I knew anybody that had Three Musketeers on their favorite candy bar list, that would be the end of the friendship. I can't trust any of your decisions after that. You chose to eat that shit? I can't trust.
There's got to be a lot of
go without chocolate if that's your choice.
Yeah, like this is an abomination.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but anything else that you can't stand?
I don't know what can't stand, but you remember Warheads? You remember Warheads?
I like Warheads, yeah.
Yeah, I know, and I missed the list, but I wanted to say like for the middle list, it's like I would eat so many of those that at the end of the day, the citric acid would like burn a hole inside of my cheek.
Yeah, the mouth sores.
It's horrible.
Yeah,
they're
delicious.
Was brutal.
Yeah. Crybabies, Warheads. Mm-hmm. Yeah, those cause some real problems. The sour spree. Yep. Spree.
I think the candies that were like that seemed very solid, but when you bought into them, they got really chalky.
Oh yeah.
When you bit into them, they got chalky.
Chalky candy's never good. There's no good chalky candy.
Necco wafers.
Necco wafers.
Yeah, that was good. Wafers. You could use those. Those are good for like if you had a pond and you didn't have any rocks to skip. Yeah. You just throw those Necco wafers in the pond and see what happens.
It kills the ducks though. Don't feed them the ducks.
No, not directly, unless I didn't like the duck, in which case, All right, yeah. So for me, I'm not gonna say candy corn because that's cliche. Candy corn, but
no one ever gives that out on Halloween.
No one does. No one ever gives that out. But I don't think it would be a Halloween thing that I was involved in if I didn't say at least once, "Fuck candy corn" in all its iterations. Circus Peanuts, I definitely agree with. I mean, Circus Peanuts, you put that in my trick-or-treat pillowcase, that is an act of war. Those sketchy peanut butter flavored candies and that sketchy packaging, the little wrappers, you know what I mean?
Those zippers? You're talking about squirrel nut
I don't know, is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Okay, those, if you give me those, I will fight everybody in the house. I will go from room to room, fighting everybody in the house.
Giving you one of those is like determined. Like here's a gift of going to the dentist next week. Like take this fucking thing. Break your teeth on these fucking horrible old candies that should have been phased out years ago.
Yeah, and then to close this, it's something that people would give out on Halloween. I don't know how frequently you guys came across this, but I know I did as a kid. It was like almost like every fifth house. Not every fifth house, but like you'd see it enough to where it was a problem. Somebody would give out boxes of raisins. And it's that's if the peanut butter, what do you call them, Ken? Squirrel
nut zippers, yeah.
If the squirrel nut zippers makes me want to fight the entire house, the box of raisins makes me want to hug everybody in that house because something has gone horribly wrong. If your parents are giving out boxes of raisins on Halloween.
Yeah.
That's like bringing a pizza to Thanksgiving. No. I'm sorry. Everybody loves pizza.
Yeah.
That's like bringing a pizza-shaped raisins to Thanksgiving. I didn't even have anger for those houses. It was just, I would take my mask off and I would just be like, what happened? What happened? It would just make me sad that people would give us these sun-made raisins. So
Or an
that's
apple.
what?
Get a loose apple. Get a loose apple of fruit. You give me a loose apple in there.
No, I never got any. I never got any apples.
Never got an apple.
I never got any apples. I got
Good
some
boy.
I got like little bags of popcorn that people would make that we
Yep.
throw out.
Oh.
I got like sometimes people would make their own candy.
Nope.
And anything that came in like a package you knew they bought from the store that day,
Yeah.
I go, yeah, not. You went to like I don't know, a stationery store and bought this packaging for this candy you made in your house this afternoon, and I'm not eating it. Luckily I didn't have any friends that you always hear about the urban legends, somebody eating something like that, and mostly those are urban legends, but there were people that gave out stuff, and I don't think they gave it out like we're gonna do something to these kids. I think they meant well, but we wasn't eating that shit. And on that note, thank you guys for coming on. Thank you guys for listening to the part 3 of our Halloween extravaganza that started with TV guidance counselor, went on to Walter Sickert's Bunker Buddies, and closes with my Ostriches and Video Games podcast.
Yeah, this is epic. We've managed to.
This has been a fun time.
Marathon.
So much fun.
I hope you guys enjoyed our journey through our typical kid Halloween night. Thank you. Please find these guys on both Instagram and Twitter and Facebook too, even though I don't really go on it that much. I just post stuff and leave.